Hello and welcome to the Stacy Cast Roadshow. Today we're here in Salford. Some of you may see me out on the streets engaging with women in community groups. Cervical screening, or a smear test as it's used to be called, is a simple test to check the health of your cervix. It's carried out by a fully trained female doctor or practice nurse. Invitations are sent out to women every 3 years for the ages between 25 and 49, and every 5 years for those women between 50 and 64. You are allowed to be accompanied by a friend or relative, and the screening only takes a few minutes. The procedure can be stopped at any time, but please remember, this could save your life. I'm going to now go to the audience to see if you've got any questions. If you'd like to ask a question, please put your hand up.
Yeah. I'd like to know what actually causes cervical cancer.
Yep, that's a very good question. I'll pass you over to Stacy, who's our expert in public health, and she will answer this question for you.
It's actually caused by the HPV virus. There are over 100 types of this virus, and it is sexually transmitted.
Thank you, Stacy. Any other questions? Yes.
What are the symptoms of HPV?
I can answer that one. There are none. I'm going to go to the audience again. Any more questions?
Is it true that cervical cancer is a largely preventable disease?
Well, I'll find out for you. We've got another expert in our audience. This is Nilly.
Yes, it is preventable. Early detection means that you can find the abnormal cells at an early stage and get treatment for them.
Thank you. Any more questions? Thank you.
What's the biggest risk factor for cervical cancer?
Okay, I'll ask another expert. I'll now go to Annie to answer that question.
The biggest risk factor for cervical cancer is not going for regular cervical screening tests.
Thank you, Anna. Are there any more questions?
What about some ladies who prefer to have the test done by a male doctor?
That's a very good question. Does anybody want to answer that? Yes.
My feelings on this are that if a lady prefers a male doctor, she should be able to have a male doctor. If she prefers a female doctor, she should be able to have a female doctor. Myself, personally, I don't care whether it's a female or a male, because at the end of the day, it could save your life. So we need to think about that before we play.
Any more questions? Yes.
What if you found anything?
That's a very good question. Stacey?
If they do find any abnormal cells, you'll be sent for a colposcopy, which is where they insert a camera so they can see if there's anything wrong. It's not a massive procedure at all. It's quite simple and quite common.
Has anybody had this procedure? Yes.
Yes, I've had a colposcopy. Well, I've had several. And it's really painless. It's very, very simple, and the camera's tiny. In fact, it's less invasive than the original smear.
Oh, thank you for that. That's great. Are there any more questions? Yes.
What I'm curious about is there any reason why you shouldn't have the test? For instance, if you'd had sex that morning.
That's a very good question. Nilly, would you like to answer that, please?
Yes, first of all, lucky girl. But no, there isn't any reason why you shouldn't have a cervical screening test, especially not that. But if you're unsure, if you're on your period or you're pregnant, it's better to ring the surgery, speak to the nurse and just ask her advice.
Are there any more questions? Yes.
I've missed 2 appointments and I'm really scared now.
Okay, we'll find out. Stacey, what do you think about that one?
There's absolutely no need to be scared whatsoever. I'd advise you just ring the practice, speak to the practice nurse. You can ask her any questions that you like and make your next appointment.
Thank you. Any more questions? Yes.
What would happen if somebody never went for a screening? Ever?
Right, I've got a lady here. If you're happy to answer that question for us, Sue.
Well, I was in that situation in 2008. And I decided I didn't really want to go ahead with the operation, and I actually ran out of the hospital because I was very scared. and I had nobody to actually speak to about it. Apparently the person that should have been speaking to me was off sick. So I came out of the building and run downstairs, and I said I'll come back in next year. I think it was only through my boyfriend who said we might not be here next year that made me think. And so I decided to go back up, and obviously probably if I hadn't have done that I wouldn't be here today.
Thank you very much, Sue. That was very good for you. Thank you, Sue. That was very brave of you. This is what we don't want to happen. This is why we're appealing for women to take up their invitations. So please go. It could save your life. Are there any more questions? Yes.
Hi, as a lesbian woman, I don't have sex with men, so do I still need to go for a cervical screening test?
That's a very good question. Annie, can you answer that for us, please?
Yeah, there's been a lot of myths around whether lesbian and bisexual women should go for regular screening. If you're not sleeping with a man, do I still need to go? And women don't always realise that they do have to go. The most important thing to do is to screen. Even if you're only sleeping with women, even if you're sleeping with men and women, you've got to go and get yourself screened, because HPV, human papillomavirus, can be sexually transmitted between two women as well. So go and get screened.
Thank you very much, Anna. Are there any more questions?
Yeah, hi Stacy. I'm not 25 yet, and obviously haven't been called, but I have had 2 children and have wondered whether I should go for a test.
Excellent question, thank you. I'll pass you over to Nilla.
It's a really good question. There's been a lot of debate about that, especially around the Jade Goody case where she was under 25, and there's been a lot of campaigns to get screening brought down. But unfortunately, at the moment, the clinicians and the top people in the NHS who know all about the cervical screening and how it all works have decided that they're not going to bring the age down. It's going to stay at 25. And that's because of the physiological makeup of the body. And the majority of cases of cervical cancer are within women above the age of 25, because that's when your body is, at that stage where it can develop.
Thank you very much. Are there any more questions? Yes.
Yeah, my friend's got a disability and he's wondering about how she would access the screening service.
That's a very good question. I'm going to pass you over to Josa, who's our expert on that area.
Thank you. Yes, as a non-executive director with the Salford Primary Care Trust for a few years, I got very involved in looking at how we could get screening for women with disabilities. Because being disabled from being a 7-year-old myself, I've always known from being a young woman how hard it is to access screening. So I worked with the lead nurse, and eventually we got a specialist service set up, and it's the Energising Centre, and it's accessible through your GP or self-referral. We bought a wider bed so that ladies are more comfortable on it. There's a hoist if you need to use a hoist. There's an accessible toilet, and you can even have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee that a volunteer will make for you with a biscuit after, if you want to sit and talk to somebody. So it's an excellent service. So please, ladies, don't sit there and say, I can't get there because I'm disabled. You can't. Your GP can provide transport or anything for you. So please go and have it done. Might save your life one day.
Thank you, Josa. Are there any more questions? Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, do you think cultural issues can be a barrier to some women in the community getting screened?
That's a fantastic question. I'll hand you over to Millie.
It's a good question, and it's something that's often overlooked. There are lots of reasons why women don't go for screening, and some of those things are part of their cultural upbringing and the things that they've been brought up to believe or that they believe. What Salford has done is it's looked into those types of things and tried to make services more accessible and try to educate the clinicians and the patients to enable them to go for the screening, which they really do need to go for.
Oh, well done. Any more questions? Yes.
Yes, what about older women who may not be sexually active?
That's a very good question. Yes, Daisy?
If you have ever been sexually active in your life, whether with a male partner or a female partner, then we would recommend that you go for a screen.
Are there any more questions?
Hiya, I'm just wondering, how long after pregnancy should you go?
I can answer that one for you. It's 12 weeks after the pregnancy. Okay, any more? Yep. So.
Could you tell me what age you stopped screening?
Yep, they stopped screening at 64 years old. Okay. Are there any more questions? Yep.
Yes, I had a hysterectomy after I had my last baby, after having a smear test. And I was having regular tests until a few years ago, and the nurse said I didn't need to come anymore because I didn't have a cervix, and I didn't really understand that.
That's a fantastic question. I'll hand that over to Nilly if that's okay.
Yeah, usually if a lady has had a hysterectomy, that then means she doesn't need to carry on having any cervical screening tests. However, there are a small number of women who, further to a hysterectomy, they've had a look inside the cervix and felt that there is a need to carry on. You generally have them for about 10 years, and then once the 10 years have passed, if there's no evidence of any cells re-emerging, then they will cease you from inviting you for your cervical screening test.
Thank you, Nilly. And thank you to everyone who took part in the show today. I hope it's made you change your minds about going for screening, and I hope it encourages you to tell your families and friends about it. Remember, cervical screening can save your life, and it only takes a few minutes.